Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, today I'm looking at one person who's proven your club wrong this season. It could be an ex-player, someone out on loan, anyone really. Christ, it could even be the fired milkman who's never delivered cow juice so quickly since leaving your club. Arsenal, Donyell Malen. Had it not been for the kids, things would be pretty desperate at Arsenal this season. I mean, it's already fairly bleak, but a sense of despair and desperation is just par for the course nowadays at the Emirates. But before Christmas there was brief talk that they could be embroiled in a relegation battle, chatter that quickly disappeared on Boxing Day when the Gunners beat Chelsea 3-1. Emile Smith-Rowe came in and was excellent, you're welcome Mikel. Gabriel Martinelli was fantastic, while Bukayo Saka showed he's no longer just a kid. But while all this has been going on, a youngster who Arsenal let go has been scoring for fun in the Netherlands. Donyell Malen was in the Arsenal youth side as a teenager, but at 18 he was shipped off to PSV. And while Aubameyang is doing his best impression of a forward who didn't deserve a massive new contract last year, Donyell Malen has so far scored 24 goals and provided 8 assists in all competitions. In contrast, Aubameyang has got 14 goals and 1 assist. Aston Villa, Pierluigi Gollini. Some people in this life have fetishes, some like a bit of roleplay, others are weirdly attracted to feet. But not Aston Villa, their fetish is men in gloves. Not just any gloves, goalkeeper gloves. Until they signed Emi Martinez over the summer, they'd spent years trying to find the perfect stopper, flipping and flapping between goalkeepers as if they were desperately swiping left and right on Tinder begging someone to pay them attention. Back in the Championship, Villa had a young Italian by the name of Pierluigi Gollini who, in fairness, was somewhat erratic. Villa have had a multitude of stoppers since then, but Gollini's been able to bounce back and go on to become a Champions League player somehow. The Italian has represented his country and is absolutely flying in hipster superside Atalanta. Are Villa bothered though? Probably not, because Emi Martinez has been bloody brilliant since arriving. Brighton, Connor Goldson. Considering Brighton have often had to play a full back five of centre-backs this season, they're probably not ruining the exit of Connor Goldson. He left the club in 2018, unable to get a chance in the Premier League after struggling with health issues. But since swapping one end of this gutter island for another, Goldson has been a revelation. In the blue of Rangers, Goldson has been exceptional and has played an important role in toppling Celtic and securing the Scottish title. Goldson will be getting a medal at the end of the season, while Brighton will just be hoping their XG is enough to keep them in the Prem. Burnley, Ben Gibson. Speaking of centre-backs proving clubs wrong, that brings us to Ben Gibson. Since leaving Middlesbrough, this man's career has been odd to say the least. He was wonderful at the Riverside, proving that he was more than just the owner's nephew. Gibson was the skipper, the best player, and get himself into the England squad. Then Borough went down, Gibson went to Burnley, and you'd be excused for thinking that he just vanished off the face of the earth like LeBron James in the new Space Jam, which looks absolutely gash to be honest with you. But Gibson is on loan at Norwich currently, and his arrival has turned the league defence into something so tight you'd think Gibson was a plumber. Oh cock, I made that joke last week, didn't I? Chelsea, Patrick Bamford. Chelsea let so many players go, there's always someone proving them wrong. Whether it's Mo Salah or Kevin De Bruyne, you don't have to search far to find someone with the Chelsea past thriving after finally getting out of the Stamford Bridge circus. But the man I'm going to focus on is Patrick Bamford, because while perhaps he was never Chelsea standard, he's proving his former club that he can get goals in the Premier League. Bamford spent 5 years at Chelsea, but never got a chance in the first team, getting so many loan moves he was probably in charge of the WhatsApp group at the club. But so far for Leeds he's scored 14 Premier League goals, which interestingly is more than any Chelsea player this season, including Timo Werner. Crystal Palace, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Speaking of Timo Werner, I could have picked Alexander Sørloth here, that's if he was any good in Germany. The Norwegian strike has been pretty appalling since joining RB Leipzig, proving that maybe Timo Werner wasn't quite as replaceable as his Premier League performances would have you think. But I'm going to look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, a man who left Palace in 2019. But all he's done this season is prove Palace completely wrong, because they were way off when they valued him at £50 million. Offensively he's never been on the money, but from a defensive standpoint he's been so poor this season, proving to be nothing more than a guy who can slide into tackles like a singleton and slide into your DMs. It's good news for Gareth Southgate at least, as I think he'd have a heart attack if he had any more right backs to choose from. Everton, ADEMOLA Lookman. When Lookman made his Everton debut it looked like he was going to be special. He scored in a 4-0 win over Man City, but that was his one and only Premier League goal for the Toffees. Sure, they got big money selling him to Leipzig, but they probably didn't expect him to come back and haunt them so quickly. Now on loan at Fulham, Lookman has proven he's got Premier League quality and shown that the Toffees should have ignored the money and given him the chance he needed. Fulham, Dan Burn. Scott Parker bought an entire new defence this season, all the while one of their former players was thriving on the south coast. Dan Burn got his big break at Fulham, but they released him back in 2016 when they were a championship club. Fast forward almost 5 years and Fulham are assembling a backline like the Avengers, while Dan Burn is the biggest left wing back the world's ever seen. Leeds United, Paul Heckingbottom. When Leeds sacked Paul Heckingbottom, they probably never thought they'd see him ever again. Little did they know he would go on to become a Premier League manager. Sure, he's only a caretaker because Chris Wilder got the sack at Sheffield United and he hasn't won a single game since taking over, but that doesn't matter, you're only getting bogged down by the facts, let's move on. Leicester City, ANDREJ KRAMARIC. I feel like every season after ANDREJ KRAMARIC left Leicester City, he's proved them wrong. The Foxes don't make many bad decisions nowadays, but Kramaric's crew will certainly go down as a big fat L in the East Midlands. This season at Hoffenheim, Kramaric has so far scored 14 goals in 21 Bundesliga appearances, a great average of just 2 goals every 3 games. But if that's the only thing Leicester have got wrong in the past few years, I don't think they'll be too worried. Liverpool, DEJAN Lovren. It doesn't matter how well Lovren played at Zenit St Petersburg, all he needed was 2 functional legs to prove Liverpool wrong. As soon as he left Anfield without a replacement arriving, it was clear that this could bite Liverpool on the backside. And that's exactly what it did, with Liverpool spending most of the season without a proper fit centre-back. Klopp has tried 1,000,001 different solutions to the problem, most of which ended in failure. But if Lovren had remained at the club, perhaps things wouldn't have been quite as desperate for the current title holders. Manchester City, Angelino. There must be something about Angelino that Guardiola doesn't like, because despite his impressive performances for Leipzig in a position where City have struggled, he was still more than happy to sell the Spaniard a couple of months back. Angelino's return to City didn't go to plan at all, but at Leipzig he's been a revelation, goals, assists, yet for some reason City got rid. The mind boggles. Christ, you'd think I was sponsored by Red Bull the amount of times I've mentioned Leipzig in this video. Sadly I'm not, but if you're watching lads, my DMs are open for offers. Manchester United, Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard hasn't just proven Man United wrong these past few months, he's proven everyone wrong. Christ, I bet even he didn't expect things to go this well at West Ham. He's done so well that people think he's a shoo-in for the England squad this summer. I don't think I'd go that far, but the way he's been playing has been remarkable. The goals have been great, the confidence is pulsing through his veins, and the celebrations have proven that well and truly J Lings is back. He'll probably still never play for Man United again, but they'll get a fair wage of cash from him this summer. Newcastle United, Ivan Toney. So far this season, the entire Newcastle United team has scored 30 Premier League goals between them. In comparison, Ivan Toney's got 28 all by himself for Brentford in the Championship. He was let go by Newcastle back in 2018, and since then he's been a man possessed, and no matter what happens to Brentford this season, he will surely be a Premier League player next year. Will he be able to say the same for Newcastle though? I'm not quite sure. Sheffield United, Callum Robinson. This one might be a little bit of a stretch, but he has scored 4 goals against Chelsea this season. Sure, they're the only goals he has scored, but whatever, it's more than most of the Blades have got. Southampton, Matt Targett. 2 of the best left backs in the country right now came through the Southampton Academy, yet neither of them played at St Mary's. You might think including Matt Targett in that as a stretch, but he never really got a fair crack in the Premier League for the Saints. Sure, they got a lot of money for him at £17 million, but he's been excellent for Villa and proved that the Southampton Academy is still producing great talent, it's just the Saints aren't using it properly. Tottenham, Mauricio Pochettino. All the talk about Mauricio Pochettino was that for all his pretty football, the man couldn't win trophies. That's why they binned him off and replaced him with serial winner Jose Mourinho. Nowadays it doesn't look like the special one could win a competition on the side of a box of Cheerios. Meanwhile, it took Pochettino no time at all to win a trophy with PSG. Within 2 weeks he'd already won the French Super Cup, which I'm sure he's been showing off to all his farmer friends. West Brom, Oliver Burke. Oliver Burke has well and truly proven West Brom wrong this season. They never imagined he'd score a single Premier League goal, then he went to Old Trafford and scored the winner. Just ignore the fact it took about 10 deflections en route to the back of the net. Well done Ollie, you've proved them all wrong. Shout out to the haters. West Ham, Josh Cullen. West Ham have had a nigh-on perfect season, but one slight blemish is the fact that they let Josh Cullen go last summer for less than £1 million, while still allowing Mark Noble to run around the London Stadium with his Zimmer frame. Cullen's been a real hit over in Belgium under the watchful eye of Vincent Kompany, and is certainly a man who the Hammers should have kept a hold of. Never mind though, at least they've still got one more year of Mark Noble. Yay! And finally Wolves, Diogo Jota. As always we end with Wolves, and the only regret they've probably got is that they didn't get more money for Diogo Jota. £45 million was a lot of money over the summer, a plethora of goals later, and they'll wish they'd asked for another £30 million. Or at least some Doritos since they don't get that sweet sponsor boost anymore. Instead, they've got no nice crisps and Adama Traore running aimlessly up and down the pitch like a greased up sex worker. So there we go, that's one player who's proven each Premier League club wrong this season. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport. And until next time, we will see you around.